Good morning, Assemblyman Anthony Brindisi.
Good morning. I thought it was caller number 10 or something. I was going to win a prize when I called in.
He'll bike his money. Yeah.
About time you paid up.
It's about time. So, all right, let's start right off with, we had a crazy weekend of inaugural celebrations and looks like press briefings and just some craziness. But beyond all of that, do you think there would be any incentive for Donald Trump to come in and one-up Andrew Cuomo and say, you know what, I think we can do something up there with that nano facility?
For a man who cares as much as he does about crowd sizes, I definitely think that would be a possibility.
I think you
If
might
he
be
could
right.
one-up anyone and get some credit for doing something, particularly in upstate New York where he has a strong base of support,
Sure.
I think he would try and do it.
Well, and on the other hand, when are we going to be hearing from the governor? Have you heard from the governor yet?
I have not heard from him personally. I've heard from a lot of his staff, and we were actually supposed to be, the Assembly was invited to the governor's mansion last week to go over some budget briefings.
Yeah.
And we ended up having to cancel because our session went too late, so I had expected to run into him then. But I'm hearing that's probably going to be rescheduled, so I think I will have an opportunity sometime in the next coming weeks to see him face-to-face and talk to him, and hopefully he will talk to me.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, I do wonder, is he just thinking that as long as I stay ultra-liberal, which it seems like he's made a turn to the left, a sharp turn to the left, standing up there with Bernie Sanders, et cetera. But I almost as if I make a real push to go left, I will carry New York City and upstate won't matter.
Yeah, I guess he can try and make that calculation, and he may be correct, but from my point of view, if he does have national ambitions, and I've told you this in the past, any Democrat has got to pay attention to those areas of the country that have been hard hit, the Rust Belt areas, your rural areas. And that's why Democrats lost this last presidential election, because Hillary Clinton didn't show up in some of those areas.
Yeah.
And people paid her back for not doing that. So I think if it served him very well to be able to make the economy here work, because then he can translate that to other country or other states that have similar type economies that are hurting. So it would make no sense for him not to want to come here. I think he will come here, but I think what he's waiting on is to come to make some kind of an announcement. He wants to try and come with some good news, as opposed to just coming here saying, this was not a good thing.
And it's got to be, and it has to be good news that is that doesn't take 2 years to get here. It's got to be good news saying, I think that's what he has to come up with. That, hey, GE is just doubled in size, and they're going to start hiring next week. I mean, that's the type of thing we're looking for.
If I were his advisors, I would caution him not to come here unless he has something very concrete that's going to happen in the very short term, because people are not going to stand by and say 4,000 jobs maybe next year.
Right.
I want to know next week what's happening.
Yeah, we're not gonna believe it at this point. We just aren't going to believe it. The other thing is on education. I know people get back and forth on the amount of money that goes to schools, and we don't need to keep paying these exorbitant amount of money to schools. The fact is, with an increase in aid, the one that the governor has proposed, it's not even coming close to dealing with the main issues that are mandated that these schools have to, just with retirement increases, insurance increases, just basic increases, et cetera, et cetera. This foundation aid, this increase for school districts is not enough.
Correct. And I understand, there's many people probably listening right now saying, I pay New York, we have the highest taxes in New York State. I don't want to pay any more in school taxes. It's not fair. And I agree with those people. They should not have to pay more in taxes. But I think they would agree with me that the money that they do pay in taxes, they would want to go to benefit the schools where they live, not some schools in Westchester or Long Island or other parts of the state. So it's not about how much money we're spending on education. It's about where we're putting that money. And the way what I've contended all along and still contend is that the money should go to those neediest districts first, those places that have lower property tax wealth but high needs because of other circumstances. And that's what we're not doing. We're spending as much in Utica per pupil as the wealthiest school district in New York State. That's not right. Utica's the fifth poorest.
Yeah.
Yet there's 200 more districts ahead of us that get more aid from the state of New York. Why is that? Because you have powerful lobby down in Long Island. Those senators down there have a strong contingent that try and help their districts, and we have to stand up and make sure that our districts are taken care of as well.
At the end of the day, this increase is just not going. I mean, I'm looking at percentages of 1.9% for Central Valley, Frankfort 2.1%, Holland Patton 1.9%, and the list goes on. Utica at 3%, VVS 2.2%, New Hartford at 1.7%. But you're going to get more percentage. You're going to get more increases just on basic cost of living increases that a school has to face.
Right. The good news is that this is really a starting point. These are the governor's numbers, and it always ends up where the legislature adds more money into education. In any event, what I've been arguing for this year is that in addition to adding more education aid, we also have to change the formula so that the money that we do put into the formula is actually sent to the districts that need it the most.
Yeah.
Do you know that the computer system that the state education department uses to determine the formula is 30 years old? It's unbelievable. It's like something you would see from the 80s. It's there's so many flaws in the system right now that really the money's not being spent where it should be.
I said cost of living because I can't think of the correct term, but we're talking about mandates at these schools, whether it's retirement issues or health care, health insurance. These are things that the schools are just looking at every year. They know those numbers are going to go up, and these percentages aren't covering those mandates. Am I correct with that?
You're correct, and then you have to look also at the property tax cap. There's only so much school districts can generate off of raising taxes this year. I think it's like 1.9% or 1.6%. I can't remember what the number is. So that's their ceiling for what they can raise off their local property tax base. So it's going to be a struggle, and we're going to have to drill down and make sure that the money we're putting into education goes to those places that need it the most. Maybe not, looking at something like free college education at this point because we're not meeting our basic needs to fund our K through 12 schools. Maybe that's where we should be putting our dollars and cents right now.
Finally, I have about 15 seconds. You're confident that this governor is going to show his face here in town?
I am. It's just a matter of time, and I think what they're trying to do now is I've made a lot of noise, and I'm sure they don't want to come here just to say, we're coming because Brindisi made a lot of noise.
Right.
So they're looking for a reason to come here right now, and they want to come probably when they can make some kind of announcement on nanotechnology.
Right. Okay.
But hopefully it's sooner than later.
Assemblyman Anthony Brindisi, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
See what comes. I think we ought to do one of those pools where we guess what day is Cuomo coming to town. Yeah. Is he coming to town? We could do that.